explain what you're doing?
Now I've done the coarse grind, I'm going to go back and do the fine grind with a valve lapping compound. I'm looking at the coarse ground, making sure that the lip is seated by the visual ring that it made all the way around. And putting the fine compound on it to do the last part. So you can see the lapping ring where it has seated all the way around. I like to have a little bit better ring than that, but that should be where the finer compound should finish it and make that nice smooth looking ring all the way, so that you're sure you got a good seal. You hit it with a coarse in case there's any heavy imperfections. That one seated really good. You had a nice smooth ring all the way around. It's very visible and smooth. Simply wipe off the old, go back and put a little thin layer of the fine compound back on it. And once you got them all back in place, wipe off the excess compound and then put just a squirt of WD or liquid wrench on the valve head. It helps lubricate and soften the rubber suction cup on the tool that you use to spin it with. Once you get it sealed on there, you can hear it. You lift it, put it back down several times, spinning it back and forth, and that's what allows the compound to grind the nice seating ring into the new valve and the valve seat, making sure that they are perfectly matched, creating the best seal possible to achieve maximum compression. When you're redoing the upper end of the motor, that's the main thing you achieve, is you restore compression seal around your valve and new valve stem seals to prevent the oil from leaking down into the motor, causing the engine to smoke if it's a smoker. That will also stop your engine from smoking by doing this procedure. So it will have more power and it won't use as much oil and it'll run a lot cleaner. Use drills, cordless drills sometimes, to put on the other end of the valve, but hand lapping is the preferred method. It's safer. You don't have to worry about over grinding it. Causing low spots and uneven. You can hear the compound doing a really good job of seating the valve sleeve. It starts out rough, and you notice it smooths out. That's a good sign that it's working properly. I'd like to do it at least a half a dozen or more times on each one. Smaller one on the little valve. Might have a little bit of grit in it because I'm not going to see. The rubbers start getting old and chips in the edge will cause it to lose its seal. Try to get the same squeak sound out of each one of them. Once you achieve the same sound, then you know that you've got it. Almost like a signal, hey, get worked, I'm done. Now that they're all doing that, they should be good to go. That one's got a good sound. Got it. Got it. back out, clean off the excessive compound, and then you'll be able to see the nice, smooth, even ring seat that it's created. The compound did a good job on both the seat in here, and a nice even ring on the bottom and a nice even ring on the top. Rinse out the leftover compound after you clean it. If you got a bucket of mineral spirits, you can dip it in mineral spirits. We'll do it a lot more thoroughly and quicker. I like to take the time to look and make sure that all of them have that good even seat all the way around so that you don't have any leaks. And also that oil is pre-lubrication, so the motor has lubrication when you first start it up. Sometimes I'll use white lithium grease, thin coat of it on all the pieces before I put it all back together to make sure it's got. What? No, I'm working. Let me go. Bye. That done, take your rag and fold it over to cover the valves, and then you flip it over. That keeps them from falling out so that you can install the new valve stem seals, which I've already set in place. The last thing to do is use a small socket over the top of them to tap them on. I have a little hammer in here.
For a second.
That'll work. So you just tap it, making sure all the valve stem seals are seated all the way down on the bottom there. I think that's a half-inch, quarter-inch drive socket that fits it perfectly. And then you've got to install the valve springs that came off with the collet. The little top is called a collet. You put the spring on first, and then you put the collet on top of each one. Spring, collet, and you also want to make sure that they're all, none of them are broke. All the springs have the same tension. They're in good shape, so we don't have to worry about that. And then wipe the tops clean. And find the collet keepers. There should be 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 2, 4, 6, 7. I think we lost one, but that's okay. I did order some extra ones. Get a new one. And a good thing to have when you're dealing with these are a good pickup magnet. In case you drop one or it falls down inside, it's easy to retrieve it with a magnet like this. As you can see, they all stick to the magnet. The magnet also helps hold on to them while you're working, that way you don't lose them. And I usually just use a open-end wrench, something close to the size of the collet, to hold it down while I place the keepers in place to lock it one at a time. Helps to have 3 hands, but I used to doing it, so I only use 2. But you got to make sure you put them the right side up. Drop the 2 keepers into the top with a spring compressed. Sometimes it can be fun to get it straight. Trying to get it straight. That's where your magnet comes in handy. If it falls, you just pick it back up with a magnet and start over. The bottom is thinner than the top, so it's easy to tell which side's up. But once you get them in there evenly, like that, you'll have an even gap on both sides, and you'll be able to push the valve up and down without the spring coming back off. That locks it into place. And you go on to the next one. One at a time, find the thin end. And then you hold your spring down. They do make a tool, special tool to compress these springs so that you can have both hands. I'm usually in too much of a hurry to fool with that, so I just do it this way. It's not that difficult and it's quicker. And plus I like to make sure that they're even. And doing them by hand, you get a better feel. Making sure they're all the same. Try to push it down and keep it centered, that way you can get them both in on both sides. That can be a little tricky. With practice helps. After you've done a few. I find that even after I've done a great number of them, it still can be difficult at times. So if you have problems, don't think it's you. It's that way with everyone. See how they're even on both sides? That's how I like to make sure that they are. And then you can also tap it like that to make sure that it's seated good inside there. I'll come down to the last 2. The hard part's almost over with. This is probably the hardest part of the valve job, is getting these collets in and out without losing them. That's how we wound up losing a couple, is when the spring popped off, it flew across the air and nobody knew where it went, so we had to order some. Always good to have a couple of these around just in case you lose them. I was doing one way out in a remote area for a man that didn't want to have his cart picked up, so I brought the parts to his house and I wound up dropping it down in his motor. Went down in through here into the bottom crankcase. I was able to pull his oil filter out and use this same magnet, ran it up in there, and it grabbed it instantly first try. I felt so lucky, so blessed, especially being 80 miles out in the middle of the woods, no part stores, nowhere to go to get anything. So I was able to retrieve it, put it back in, finish the job, and you should have seen the smile on his face as he drove down the little dirt road, buzzing along with no smoke. When I got there, he was coming up the road, looked like a mosquito truck with a big fog of oil behind him, was burning oil so bad because his valve stem seals had completely deteriorated, and the oil was pumping right in on top of the cylinders and causing it to smoke severely. But that right there